Hey, Laura, good morning. Thank you. This way you can appreciate my bangs a bit more because I do have them. I have them. It's just that because my hair is long, it mixes with the rest of the hair. Now you can see it a bit, but it's not that short, the bangs. How are you? Is there something going on in K-pop? Everyone has been very silent, except that yes, BTS is in Mexico, and it had been lovely. I had been watching a lot of things, and I loved the way they were received. I think that it's very. I mean, I kind of expected from Mexico fans because I know how passionate and organized they are. Um, but I think that this was a great time to show, that the fans are really, and also they're very, they're very smart. They fight for the rights, they organize to do those things. So it's very admirable. I love it. Like I would expect less from them because I mean, from what I've seen that they are able to achieve, I'm very proud of them. I did see a clip of BTS going to a wrestling match. Yes, Akira shared it on Discord, and I was like, "Is this for real? Did this really happen?" Because nowadays, unfortunately, with AI, you don't know, and I think that that's so. It's like an episode of Dark Mirror, um, because there are certain IA things that you can be like, yeah, I know this is made with IA. Not IA, sorry. How do you say it in English? AI? AI, not IA. IA is the Spanish. Um, so, um, I'm going to eat some crackers because I have an empty stomach. So, mm, okay. Yeah, I was wondering because I tried to spot the rest of them and I was like, but where I couldn't see the others. But also everything that was going on, it was so outrageous that there's something about these sort of like wrestling matches, that is so dramatic and it's so it's people flying, so that it's really hard to focus. I only could spot a bit of Jimin because of the hair. And a full thing. I noticed thing. for me, those wrestling matches are so bizarre. Are so bizarre. I remember when I was very young, we used to have them. There used to be a show on TV. Um, that I believe that yes, we had also from Mexico, but there was also an American one, and I believe that in Argentina they tried to, replicate that show, And when I was young, while growing up, I really thought that people were fighting for real, like the fightings were real, um, and I don't know, but it's a very bizarre for me. It's a very bizarre show. Like I'm like, wow. Also, I believe Blackpink members were at the Met Gala. Same. But, you know, if you think about it, it's like even from, it's a very old custom, I would say, because if you think about gladiators, they were part of the entertainment. That was, I think that one of the first exercises of entertaining people, which was, it was a lot. But was it the Romans that, was it in Rome that they created this? And they came up with this, like, oh my God, let's entertain the emperor, let's entertain the masses. And how do we do this? We get people fighting. It's fun. Oh my God. Yes, hers was my favorite. Yes, I love it. All of them looked amazing, but Jesus' dress was my favorite. Also her style and herself. I did like Jenny's also, if you know, because maybe from afar you will be like, it looks simple, but the more you get close to her, you can see, the contrast between the sort of glow. She looked like a siren, the glow that she had on the dress, and also her skin, and also her makeup. But I think that you need to be, you have to be close to her. The shots have to be close to her so you can see the glow. But I love pink. I love pink color. I usually I have a lot of favorite colors. I would say all of them except black. Black is not my favorite color. Um, I don't think I look good in black also. Um, but um, there's a part of me that I love pink. Like very girly. So when I saw Jisoo wearing that, I was like, "Oh, that's so pretty." The girly in me was like this. That's a princess. Also, if we think about fighting as a way of entertainment, and I'm talking about, um, gladiators and all of these things that used to happen for the public to be entertained, or for the people that could pay for it to watch it. I think also about, if we think about today, we could think about, social media. We could think about, for example, a place like Twitter that is very toxic, or a place like on TikTok comments as well, or TikTok responding to other TikToks, and this sort of that we call today, rage bait kind of content. I think that they all. I think that the key of entertainment is to, or had always been, to trigger people. It's like to make you feel a type of way. Um, and and some people just cannot get enough. Somehow when there's people arguing, or when there's, famous people arguing, or they are being talked about, or they are being discussed. Oh, what she said, what he said. People get like, oh my, I have to take a side. I have to do something. I have to say something myself. So if we think about, this sort of rage or kind of aggressive entertainment, it sort of makes sense that it was discovered back then, because it's sort of, it affects people, like it affects you somehow. But yeah, those kind of exercises definitely, it has to do with releasing some kind of, internal anger, I would say. Like, there's people that love to be triggered. For example, I noticed with my dad that it's a very old man. He's always watching the news, the local news. I pay for cable only for him, because I don't watch cable. um and he's always watching the news, and you know how in the news it's always like there's always something tragic happening. They talked over and over and over, and in different hours they touch the same controversy. you know and he is so fixated on that, and for me it's like, you have to stop watching that. For me, I'm like, I cannot wait for the World Cup to start. I believe it starts in June. So he can, distract himself with soccer, because, you know I think that watching the news, that is not positive. It's not something that you should do. But because he doesn't have much to do. He doesn't even like. I'm like, you have other channels. You can watch, like, movies, or, but he doesn't have that. He's very Aries in that sense. For example, maybe the movies that he likes or that he enjoys is the one that has like a lot of action. Um, but he doesn't have the patience also to see. There were a lot of times that I would, I will be having mate together, or having, meals together, and I would, put a movie on. But if it's complex, or if it's about, the character is taking their time, he just doesn't pay attention to it. He doesn't like documentaries. He doesn't like telenovelas, except when it gets dramatic. When there's something going on. If it's about, the character just being there and just like slowly walking and just reflecting, he doesn't pay attention to it. He doesn't watch it. He If he's having a meal, he watches, his plate, or he's watching the ceiling. He's not interested. He's not interested. Not at all. Not at all. Mm, yes. Watching the news is like watching history repeat itself. Did you hear about what I'm sure you heard about this sort of virus that was in this cruise? I'm like, why people want to make COVID happen again? Like, why? Like, I don't understand. I wonder if there's something like, you know, arranged about this, because I'm like, why are we studying like this? Why, why, like you said, history repeating itself. Why does it feel like it's very, repeated, like the way it's starting, um I don't know. Guys, I have a very low immune system. So if one of these things get to me, I will disappear. Um, but I don't want to be dramatic. I think that we should take care of ourselves. We should, um, you know, I don't know. I just think that there's something just that it feels like, why? Like, yeah, it's like a loop. Yeah, it's like a loop. Yes. You get this sense of deja vu, like we had been here before. Yeah. It's just that I think that you know, there's a goal. I don't know if is some people are like, oh, this is our intention. But, they want to get the people confused, and they want to get the people paranoid. Like you being like, oh, where did it come from? And who started it, and what happened, and where are they from? Like, let's not do that. Like, let's just study what we have, instead of being like, but who was it? Who released it? I think that there has to be, more a way to control it. It's just that I think the same thing happened with COVID. When I remember I had, former coworkers, but at that time we weren't still let go. Like we were still under the companies, just that because of COVID we weren't working. Um, and we would talk, and when we had the possibility to meet in small groups, we would meet. And I had, some coworkers of mine being like, oh, I had COVID like 3-4 times, and I was like, oh my, in my own personal experience, I was like, no, I believe I didn't have COVID. I believe I didn't have it. But just because I took the measures, I protected myself, because I know that if I would have it, first of all, my dad is very old. He's also, um, I have to, we have to protect each other. I have a very, low immune system, and he also is an old person. So, we had to be, careful with each other. So, if I went out, I would wear the mask and everything. Um, but, for some people, that's the, how I think that, definitely it's is different for everyone, because if you never had like a low immune system, or if you never had like a chronic disease, you're like, well, if I had it, I had it, and I didn't, I had it and I'm still here, and I'm like, yeah, lucky for you, you know and but um I don't know. I think that there was a time when I had all the vaccines already, but I think that there was a time that I think that I got it because my hairdresser, she had it, and she was like, she had the symptoms, and she was like, she let me know, she was like, okay, because you've been here, in the, in last week, I want to let you know that I'm having symptoms. I think that she got negative. I think that she went and she got checked, and I think that they said that. But I also got the symptoms later, or I felt a bit funny. I felt like I had fever, but we just stayed at home back then, and we waited, like 7 days, was it 7 or 10 days? We were in isolation, in our houses. But I don't know. I remember I had high fever, and I felt a bit, like low in energy. But I don't remember it being like, oh my God, I feel bad, because I had pneumonia and other infections, when I was young. That's how they discovered that I had lupus. So I know how it feels to have an infection, like to have like that, like somehow like a respiratory, you know, pneumonia. It's very. I almost didn't make it with pneumonia, honestly, because you feel like your whole body hurts. Your whole body aches. It hurts even when you're breathing. It hurts, but it's not just like, oh, the part of the of the lungs, or the it's like your body hurts. Your like your extremities, everything hurts. Like it feels like you were um like you were hurt pretty bad. It feels like that. You feel it in your bones, and you also feel sleepy. You want to sleep. You feel like it's not about fainting, but you're losing like your will to stay awake. And because I know I was this close to not making it, I'm very respectful. This is why I don't smoke nor anything, because and I also had a lot of like, spots on my lungs as well, and it took me a long time to recuperate. So I have like a very vivid memory of that happening to my body. So this is why um, I'm very extra careful when it comes to respiratory, infections, because I know how bad it can get. You feel it in your body, and it's not funny. It's not like, well, I'm having a bit of fever. No, it's very debilitating. And so, yeah, I don't wish that on anyone. I had it. Even if I was like a preteen back then, but I had a very strong memory of how hard, how it really hurt, and it was very painful, and it doesn't go away that easily. There were a lot of, doctors trying to figure out what was wrong with me, trying to get me to feel better. So this is why I am very respectful about how do I expose my body, to certain situations. If I can help it, I will, because, you cannot play with that. Mm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's so dystopian. Like it's giving those movie scenes. Mm, yes, yes. It's just that it's really tough, because when people, especially, I remember, then, that there was a time when this series, I believe it was, how was it called? This doctor series. Uh, was it Hugh Laurie in it? Doctor House. Doctor House. Do you see? It seems like, because it was a TV show, but do you know the usually scene, how it started, that there's someone at the hospital, and they had this certain, you know like conditions, and they have to figure out, like, okay, is this it or is this not? Is this it? And I think that there was an episode that they were like, is it lupus? Is it lupus? It is lupus or is not lupus? You know, and that's a very famous quote of his character. But this is what I want to say. Like, in my case, in the at the late 90s, lupus wasn't, that, there weren't many information about lupus. Um, so they had me like a month in there to see, even if I was slowly getting better. They were running a lot of analysis. They would, get a lot of checkups, and they would be, all the time on me to study. Okay, what is this? What is causing her, to have this? Because it wasn't just the lungs; it was also my kidneys, and so, it's like that, what is causing this, and usually when you see Dr. House, and you see how they are studying all the time, like, okay, let's go see her, let's go do this, how about we try this, how about if we give her this, we give her this medicine, or we give her this. Well, that's how I believed, the doctors were dealing with me back then, because they wouldn't let me go home, because they were like, and I was like, since I was very young, I couldn't wait for them to let me go home. And I would always ask them every time I would see them, I was like, when can I go home? And they were like, we cannot let you go home yet. We have to figure out, what is it that you have. And there was a lot of analysis, and I think that each case must be different. So this is why you also have to be respectful of people's work, because, the professionals, definitely, they were working with a very odd situation. And so when you have the body fighting itself, it's like, what is causing this, and how do we move on from here? Because you cannot just let me, you know, let her go home, and then, I will collapse again. So I'm sure they had a lot of work to do, to analyze. Mm, I have to have some sort of language. Ah, I had a spinal surgery fusion for. Oh, oh my God, yes. Talking about extraction, when I had these spots on my lungs, I don't know if you had it. When they tried to, extract, there was these long needles that I will always be traumatized by these long needles. They put an anesthesia on me, but they did try to extract with that very long needle. They did try to a bit of fluid of my lungs to see if there was, like, fluids. And I think that they didn't get anything, but for me, it was the most painful experience ever, because it was very painful, that destruction. It was very scary also. I felt it. I don't know if it was the first needle that it was for anesthesia or the second one. The second one that it was like the big needle, but I felt everything. I was, it was awful. It was awful. Ah, yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, yeah. Mm. That's why you have to take care of yourself, guys. I know that there's many people that had experiences where, but I just I admire so much people that can go to the doctor and they can be like, okay, yeah, this is what you have. This is have this or do this, and go home and just follow instructions and you will be better. I think that that's a very you know is a very happy ending, I would say. But for me, it had always been complex. Every time I get something, it's not like, oh, well, it must be this, let's dismiss this. No, it has to be complex. It has to be reviewed a lot of times, it's like try and error or something like that. So this is why, I think that we should take care of our bodies, in our minds as well, of course, but our bodies. Please, guys, don't expose yourselves to situations where you can harm your body. Because if your body doesn't serve you, for example, breathing, if you cannot breathe correctly, you cannot function. So, honor your organs, be grateful for what you have, even if it's not perfect. We are here just like what we were saying with Laura. We are here on earth, I guess, to live, to be here. So make the most of what you have, even if you're not perfect or you don't feel like, oh, this is what I want, just take care of yourself. Because if you don't take care of yourselves, the consequences come later. Also, I learned that with age, because now I'm 40, but yes, when I was 20, I thought that I was okay. I thought that I was normal, and thank God I didn't expose myself to not a lot of risky situations. But I would think that I would be okay. You know that I'm like the rest, and actually no, I'm not like the rest, because my system, my my immune system is not wired like the rest. So if an infection happens to me, I could probably be affected differently. And maybe for some people, it's like, well, I just had this infection, and I just had to take these pills and I go home. And for me, it's not that. The horse is, oh yeah, just go home and drink water. I got that a lot as a kid, and I'm like, this is not gonna help me. I'm watching this great C-drama, Dracula. I shared it on Discord. Dylan Wang is in it. It's a Chinese series. It's on Netflix. I think that is called. How is it called? Is it Light? I never remember it. Light to the Night in English. Because I have Netflix again, so I'm going to go and look, all the all the C dramas available on Netflix. I know that there are that many, but it's what I can afford today. I wanted to get IQ or IKE. I wanted to get it. But it's expensive. It's a bit expensive for me at this moment. I know in there you can watch, a lot of C dramas, but I don't know. I want to have like an app that can have a bit of everything, because I also sometimes I do watch some especially horror, Thai horror, people from Thailand or from other parts, they do really good ones. I watch Japanese dramas as well, so I want to have different ones just in case. Love in the Clouds, is it on Netflix? I have to watch it. Everyone has been talking about it. I have. I know it's good because people has been praising it a lot. So probably that's going to be my next one. Yes, because it's not that I'm about to finish this Light to the Night, but I'm on episode 11. So, and it has 24. So I'm advancing very fast. It's just that, this Friday and Saturday, there was like a big storm and there was a lot of coldness in here. We couldn't move. We couldn't get out of the house because, thank God I didn't have to go. Like the classes, on Friday, they were canceled because, the temperature suddenly dropped, very low degrees, and we were expecting that because we are in autumn, but also we had like a lot of days prior to that there was a lot of humidity, so it was a very odd, atmosphere, very confusing weather. So finally on Friday, there was a storm coming, a lot of wind, and so they had to cancel classes, so kids wouldn't go. And because there was a storm coming, so I wanted to do the live stream, but my internet would come and go, it would be very, very unstable. So I was like, I don't want to go, and then I don't want to go live, and then and also it was very windy, that you would hear the winds in the back. So it was like I didn't feel like I could concentrate. So I was like, no, I will postpone it. Today is better, and I think that today is going to be sunny. But yeah, yesterday it was awful. So I tried to arrange all my things, and then I started watching this Chinese series, Light to the Night, and it's really good. It's really good. Like I really like this sort of detective kind of style, and also they have an atmosphere that is very also late 90s, the beginnings of the 20s, not the 20s, the 2000s, and it's very nostalgic kind of vibe. But I was, I didn't know much about. I know that Dylan Wang, it's very popular in my channel because I had been asked to read for him, but I believe this is my first time watching him. I don't know, maybe I had before, but why do I feel like this is my first time seeing him as, not in a costume? It's more like him playing this very, like this regular civilian, not fantasy, nor, and I'm like surprised, he's really good. He's a really good actor. I'm like, this is really good. Like I'm buying all his emotions and everything. Also the older guy that also is his partner in this detective work is really good. I like it. I'm like, it's really good. It's really good. And the good thing that I am also enjoying, from watching it on Netflix, is that there's no distractions. I remember the other day I did watch, because there were few episodes of, this also, was it C-drama? No, it was Korean. I believe it was Korean. That, yeah, it was on Netflix, but I didn't have Netflix, so I watched it on a website on Bilibili, and it was If Wishes Could Kill, something like this. It was really good, but I did watch it on there. I watched it on my phone, and the quality was great. Everything was great, but that it's not comfortable. It's not comfortable because if you have to stop or if you have to go, you know, um, you know, if you want to go back to a few minutes, then you have these ads that pop out, and it was very uncomfortable. I did finish it, but I'm like, it's not the same as having, the proper streaming platform. It's more comfortable. You can watch it, you can put play in it, and then go back to it. Oh, wow. So yeah, since now I have very few people for this, the relationship with money and success. I'm going to take this moment to pull cards for I did pull cards for the Coachella experience, for you know for um, the people that perform, especially from the K-pop industry, K-pop scene, and I'm going to pull cards for the Blackpink girls, to see how they felt, each one of them, on this Met Gala event. At this Met Gala event, they all look beautiful, of course, but yeah, let's see how it was, this very important event, for them. I know they are not, strangers to the Met Gala. I know they have been there, but I think that it was the first time that the four of them were there. I believe it was. So yeah. Let's see. Okay. I'm going to pull cards. Jenny, Lisa, Jisoo, and Rose. Remind me, please. Did I say Jenny, Lisa, Jisoo, and Rose, right? Because I'm like, who was it first? Did I say Jenny, Lisa, Jisoo, and Rose? Was this the order? I just did it. I forgot. I have to go back a few seconds and rewatch my. Thank you. I just wrote it down, but yes. Okay, let's see for them, for each one of them, how was their experience. Let's start with Jenny. Yeah, Jenny was feeling like an angel. She was feeling like, very zen, very like, I'm healing myself. I'm feeling the love. I'm feeling, also she's just very comfortable in this kind of, spaces. She feels very valued. She feels like, like she had done the work, when it comes to, this sorry, this kind of industry or this kind of events, she had, somehow mastered the experience. There wasn't no nervousness, nor, like, oh my God, what is going on with this? Or, oh my God, like, how do I go from here? Or what do I do? She had, a lot of help, a lot of assistance. She had everything that she needed. And first of all, she had her experience. This is not the first time that she goes there. So there's a sense of familiarity. And also there's a sense of her, being given everything that she needs and more. She's like, yeah, every time I go there, they treat me like a queen, and I think that, the Nine of Pentacles is also about individuality. So this is about, Jenny. Jenny is like recognized individually, even though, we are talking about that all the members of Blackpink have been there together. I think that this was the first time that all of them were together. But for her, maybe because she probably had to do this alone initially, like, I don't know, her first Met Gala, was it her the only member probably? Or something like this, but I don't know. It feels like, I had to go, or I have to, go to these events on my own. So I kind of know what is expected, or I know the system, or I know how they work. So, I just go in there and do my part. And also with the Temperance, there's something just very healing about her. She was in her right mind. She was very balanced. She looked, I remember her look, but there's something about her looking like an angel. Or maybe it's her aura, that she's very Pacific, that she's a very Pacific person. And I think that, this kind of events, she is like very, very well balanced when it comes to these events. She doesn't freak out. She doesn't, she stays grounded and very, very zen, like breathe, like breathe, don't be nervous, breathe, and I think that it's just, also there's a lot of protection around Jenny. There's a lot of protection. It could be energetically, but it will also be that people around her are like angels. Are like guardian angels. They are like, even though this is, of course, like the Met Gala, it's a fashion industry, so it can be superficial in a lot of ways. But I think that for Jenny, she does have a lot of protection, or the people that work for her, or that they prepare her things, or that they prepare her for these kind of events. They really look out a lot for her, or they make sure that she's comfortable, because she had worked with them for a very long time. So they are like, yeah, Jenny, we know what she needs. We know, that she can go and talk to this person, or she can go here, or she will not go here because she doesn't like it, or she doesn't feel comfortable. So it's like a very pampering kind of a scene for her. So very nice for Jenny. Okay, for Lisa. for Lisa. For Lisa, we have, just like Lisa, like the Aries woman that she is, we have the Queen of Wands, and we have the Judgment card. So yeah, Lisa, very strong, very much like her whole aura, she is definitely in charge. She's very dominating. Also, she dominates her spaces. She's like, okay, yeah, this is what I'm doing. This is my style. This is my moment. So get out of my way. It's all about me. I am the queen. She's very assertive. She's a very assertive. We know this. But I think that there's something about Lisa not faking it. She's really assertive like this. She's very strong like this. You cannot ignore her. She's very powerful like this. She's like very, whether you like her or not, she's always in the spotlight, and she knows how to carry herself, and she never loses confidence. Never. It's just that with the Judgment, definitely there was a bit of judgment towards her, and she knew it. This is why she's standing here like the Queen of Wands. Because, yeah, maybe, there was something about her appearance or her style or something that people were like, really, you're wearing that? Or people about the dresses, and it's like, oh, this style that you, as if she had chosen it herself. And she didn't choose it herself. She probably had some kind of creative influence. She could have, talking or had said something to the designers and, participated a bit. I mean, like, yeah, for me, I would like you to arrange this because I see her on top. Lisa is always on top of things. She's always on top of things. She's not a follower. She is a queen. She is, if she has to be demanding, she is. It's just that she's like, I have the strengths. I have the posture to deal with criticism or to deal with judgment. Even if there's something about her outfit that people were criticizing, or if there's a judgment, like, oh my God, why did you wear this? You could have worn something different. You know how people always get, but she's like, I don't care. I think that there's something about, not scandal, because I don't think that it's about being scandalous, but she's like, I like it when people talk about me. It's like, you have many opinions, so bring it on, bring it on. I can take it. I can take criticism. I can take judgment. I'm a grown woman. I'm a strong woman. So, say it, say it. I don't care. I had fun. And also she owns her decisions. She's someone that she faces the crowd, or she faces her haters, or she faces criticism or judgment. And she's like, I know why you guys are like this. I know you. I know why you do this. Why it's always me, or why it's always, I know. And probably there's something about her being like, yeah, I know they probably will say something about my outfit, or, this that I'm wearing. But I don't care. I don't care. I'm still shining. I'm still a queen. I'm still number one. She's very powerful. She's very powerful. So she's like, I don't care. I know that it comes with my job, so I don't care. In the case of Jisoo, it's very strange for Jisoo. Okay. Knight of Wands and Five of Cups. So it's very strange for Jisoo. Personally, she was my favorite. Like, her dress was so pretty. Yeah, her energy, it feels like, she really, I think that the Knight of Wands is like this rush, this very, like, I'm here to save the day. Or maybe there was something unexpected coming her way before she had to, put on the dress, or if there was some arrangements, or if there was a missed opportunity, or if there was like a lot of disagreements about, like, maybe people fighting for being like, no, she should wear this, and maybe other people be like, no, but this is not the right order. She has to wear this first, and then the other. I think that there was a sense of emergency. Like, I don't know if I don't think that it was like Jisoo. I think that Jisoo was the one that she tried to adapt to whatever chaos, because there was something chaotic about the arrangement or the preparation before she went out. Of course, that we know that, the style was beautiful. Everything was beautiful. She actually looked very relaxed, just very nice. But I can see her, trying to cover something. And probably it was that maybe the arrangement, it was probably, allegedly, it was a bit chaotic. And maybe, there were people that they were offended. Like, I think that is an issue with brands. Like, she should have worn this, or this was not what we arranged. She was supposed to wear this, not this. And I think that it's like a minor accessory or something like this. But it caused her to be a bit like going from here to here and be like, no, 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 you don't go there, you go here. And her having to change and navigate this sort of very unstable moment, and also having to go out and just act like, yeah, everything is under control and I'm so happy to be here. But I think that there was something just very, like, she had to rush to show up, or she had to, there was a sense of, urgency. And I think that things got out of control, maybe, like, before. Maybe there were like, I don't know. I think that she also felt a bit disappointed on how people acted around this. Maybe there was an issue and people were arguing about this, and she was in the middle of that, and she was like, "Oh my God, this energy is so unpleasant. I don't like it here," and her being in the middle of all these, people were very anxious about her, the dress or whatever she was wearing, or if it was like, an accessory or something. I think that people were panicking around her, and she observed all of this, and she was like, okay, I guess, maybe they lost something, they lost an item, they lost it, and they had to replace it. So there's something just like, oh, we don't know where it is, we don't know, do you know? No, I don't know. The people arguing and her having to, just put on the brave front and be like, well, we have to get going. We cannot stay, in this sort of chaotic energy. I have to get out there. So can we please, rush? She's also, someone that she's used to, in her career, she's used to, unexpected things happening. Things breaking, maybe things accessory or things breaking or something like this, and having to adjust them or something. She's used to this. She's like a warrior. She knows, So I think that she was like, you guys are wasting too much time fighting over this. I think that we should, just make the most and get out there. And I think that she did. She went out and she showed her splendid self. Yeah, she's a professional, definitely. But I think that something happened backstage. Something happened that it's not about her, but she was in the middle, so she was like, oh my God, like there was a bit of. A very messy way of dealing with things. People pointing fingers at each other, and she was like, "Oh, that's so disrespectful." She been like, "Wow, you people, really go at each other." Wow, it's not that she's not used to this. It is more like when people are dramatic and instead of finding a solution, they point fingers at each other or they want to find someone to blame. And she was like, this is such a waste of time. Don't do that. Please, just let's make this work. I have to get out there. And I want to get out there as quickly as I can, please. Thank you. Yeah, and about Rosé, we have the Seven of Cups and we have the Page of Wands. So about Rosé also, very interesting. She got the page of Wands. Is Rosé the youngest of the Blackpink members? Is she the youngest? Well, in this Met Gala experience, it seems like, she really, I don't want to say like it's her first time, but because I have the Seven of Cups, so there's something about, her, it's not that she is her first time, but there's something that compared to the other girls, maybe she felt a bit much more like, I don't have the experiences of the others. And also with the Seven of Cups, I think that these events for someone like Rosé, she's very courageous, she's very courageous, she's very curious, she has the energy, to like, okay, I will go there, I will show up and I will show, I will be, I will show up and I will bring my energy. But she feels very young, she feels very much like, she's trying her best, to show a bit of, security and confidence. She's like, I'm daring to do this, But the Seven of Cups is also a lot of confusion. So I wonder if when these Met Gala experiences happen, I don't know if they had happened in the past, but I think that when it comes to Rosé, she's like, yeah, I've done this before, or I'm used to this. But for me, this atmosphere is very confusing. Maybe people around her, they also feel just like what I sense for Jisoo, there's this sense of people being like, oh, we should put this on her. and then we will change it, and then we will come up and show you something new, and we will be like, no, we will change your hair, no, and it's like there's a lot of, for I think that for someone like Rosé, the Met Gala, it feels like a dream, yeah, but it feels like she was in there, but then she doesn't remember a thing, because people are very um are very like indecisive. Like they present a lot of options to her, and she's like, "Yeah, I remember you told me that this was what I was supposed to wear, but then you change it, and now is the final the final check the fitting that I have to do, and I see." A dress that this wasn't supposed to be the dress, so she has to make it, she has to go up there and sort of being like, well, yes, this was the option that we went for. But there's a part of her that she's like, yeah, there were many others, and they just wouldn't make up their minds about what they wanted to do with me. So there's also, I don't know if I wonder if, it has to do with designers. I wonder if it has to do with designers, because definitely I think that the only one that felt like, yeah, everything is arranged and everything is they make everything so I feel comfortable is Jenny. Then the other ones are like, yeah, there were a lot of changes, or there was a lot of, interesting choices, but we make it. We make it work because we're professionals. But in the sense of Rosette, there's a lot of confusion. Like I see a lot of people, I talk to a lot of people, but I cannot tell you like, yeah, I know them, or I know this experience, like I know people from here, and it seems like everyone is running around in front of her, and she's also very confused. She's like, okay, what is it now? What is it going to be? Because I don't know. I tried a lot of things on, and I don't know. I think that it has to do with management. With management. So her experience, it feels more like, and also people being like, she could have chosen something else. She could have done something as if she was the one choosing it. She could have chosen something else. She could have gone for something else. And she's like, guys, this has been arranged or discussed before. It's not about what I want. And I don't think that she has a say, so she's like, well, they do this, but at the end they choose it for me, or it feels very like also like her trying to make it work, but the environment also was very confusing around her, very confusing. So I wonder what is that. And it's so interesting, because I see all the court cards in here. Jenny was the only one that she got the 9 of Pentacles. So there's a very like, I'm here. I know, I know me. I know this place. I stand very stable in here. But then if you think about the other members, Lisa, Jisoo, and Rosé, Lisa as the Queen of Wands, Jisoo as the Knight of Wands, and Rosé as the Page of Wands. So the three of them, having with this page energy that it's very, that is very like, let's go, like, yes, I will go, I will stay there. But you see how from the Queen to the Page, each one of them loses a bit of confidence, like, so yeah, it's very interesting, this reading. Yeah, very interesting. So yeah, probably is because, with these things and these events, there's a lot of people behind this. So it's not about the girls. I think that the girls are the one that carry the final product, or they carry the dress, the accessories, they are the one carrying it, they are the ones that go out there. But I think that it also depends on, how the people manage this, because I think that there's a lot of stress and confusion in these kind of events, at least from some of them parts I can see it. Yeah. But definitely they do have, as they got, the ones, the characters of the ones, definitely there's a lot of drive, it's like, I will go up there, even if there were some things that were changed at the last minute, I will go up there. I'm proud of what I have been given, or I'm proud of what I'm representing. So there's a lot of strengths, there's not like, oh my God, like, I don't know how to do this. No, they definitely have the strengths. They have they will show up with the brightest smile. It's just that maybe it's just it's not just them. They are like the ones that carry it, but it's not just about them. It affects. I think that energetically it affects them. Whatever is going on, around them. I think that there's a lot of energy. This is why I think that in the case of Jenny, when we have the temperance, there was something about her feeling secure, because maybe she had people that were like protecting her, and that I said protect. So I think that yeah, that's necessary, because maybe in the case of Jenny, she does have certain conditions, or she's like, I don't like this, so can we please, I think that for her it's necessary to stay zen before going out there, and not having people shouting in front of her, and going around, and she's like, I can you please like give me a minute so I can prepare, because or I want my people to do this. I don't want a lot of people around me going crazy. No, she needs stability, and she does have it. Okay, I'm going to start with this reading for today, the relationship with money and success. I'm going to start. Okay. I'm going to start. The first one is Hwang Zi Tao. Hwang Zi Tao is a former member of EXO. Hwang Zi Tao, let's see his relationship with money and success. Let's see him. Okay, for Hwang Zi Tao, we have, about money, we have the Ace of Cups and the Five of Pentacles. Then about success, we have the High Priestess and the Ten of Pentacles. And then, him represented here as, how he, the energy that he exudes personally about these matters. We have the Six of Pentacles. So does he have his own company? Does anyone know if Zi Tao, if he has, his own company? Because I see him like, he is very, I think that his energy, it feels like, when it comes to money and success, he doesn't waste his time or his energy or his resources. I think that he has learned with time that he has to, if the conditions are good, and if there's a business that is good, he's going to reciprocate, or he's going to invest, but he's also waiting for this to be beneficial for him as well. It's all about give and take. It's all about contracts. It's all about order. It's all about, a proper distributions of like, okay, what do I get out of this, and what do you want to get out of this? Let's be fair about this. And I think that he's great at making businesses. And there's something about him, if you do businesses with him, he keeps his word. He's very loyal about this. There's something about like, okay, you spent money on me, doing this, okay, I will give it to you back, or I will do this and give it to you. He's a very rational also. He's very rational about this, but I think that there's something about being fair. I want to receive, and also I will give you your part. I think that he's very mature about, and he's very serious probably about money and success. Because I think that it also has to do, with him probably having a bit of pride and being like, I don't want people to talk nonsense about me, in the sense that I don't want people to be like, oh, because he didn't pay me, or he owes me money. Because I think that people, I don't know if people around him or what, they tend to do this. They tend to stall this sort of like, it could be rumors or it could be true, I don't know. But I think that people tend to think about, maybe, I don't want to say people like Tao, because I don't know, what it means, but this is what I'm getting, like people tend to associate him with other people that maybe had worked in the industry like he does, or like he did. And they're like, oh, those people always owe money. And he's like, no, I'm not like those people. I am myself, and I keep my word, and I don't like to owe people. I like to be fair. So about money, yeah, we have the Ace of Cups and we have the Five of Pentacles. So I think that about money, his situation, he knows what it's like to lose. He knows that he probably has a lot of losses. Because with the Ace of Cups, there's something about, I choose love, or I think that he may be choosing, he's very emotional. And I think that this also impacts his money flow, I would say, because he puts as a priority maybe artistic endeavors, or it's about his personal life, with the Ace of Cups. It's like, maybe it's about relationships, or maybe it's about him investing and choosing relationships, and in consequence, this maybe makes him lose a bit of money, or makes him lose a bit of status. Like I'm not getting paid more as other people, but it's because I have a relationship, or I'm choosing love and family, or I'm choosing, I'm choosing to be loved. There's something with the Ace of Cups. It's like, I'm choosing to have my heart up, and people see, what my values are, or or I choose, maybe what I do, or a business that I do it from a very emotional state, do it from a very emotional place. Like whatever I create is not more about like, oh, what it can give me as money. It's more like what it represents for me sentimentally. So this can mean that for him, it's like, this was a great idea, or this was a vision of mine that I wanted to make come true, but probably it represents a few losses. It represents a few losses. I think that, he's a man that when it comes to money, he cannot detach his sentimental side. And it could also be him, maybe lending money to people that he loves. It could be family, it could be friends, and him lending money and not having it back. People not giving it back to him because he's so emotional or sentimental that he's like, yeah, you're my family. I love you. Here's my money. And then he loses it, But I think that, the Ace of Cups, the Ace of Cups is also a card about giving. This is why you have the hand here. It's about, you being generous. So even if materially you can lose, for him, it's like, I don't regret any single losses. Like for me, it's just like, some pennies that I lost. And this is not about the amount, but for him, it's like, I did it with an open heart, and I did it, because I felt like this. So for me, it's not like a loss. For me, it's not a loss. I can always recuperate this. I can always recuperate this because the ace is always abundance. The ace, it's always overflowing. So it's not a sense of like, he's like, I will come up with a new idea and I will get the money back, or I will start all over, but he's like this. About success, yeah, we have the High Priestess and we have the 10 of Pentacles. So I think that, there's something just very interesting about, also, the High Priestess is giving me like emotional. I think the success for him, honestly, his success is family. He's a very, very family man, very family guy. He probably is the one that gives his family members work. Could it be? But I think that he's really good with money, nevertheless. But there's, like I said, there's an emotional element in all of this. The High Priestess, it's probably him with age and with experiences, him probably learning that he has to be probably a bit much more silent or a bit much more mysterious about his endeavors. Definitely I see a company, I see a legacy, I see that he has been building something, but probably, when it comes to success, I think that he had learned that, in order for him to keep this legacy or for him to have this, I don't know if it's like an enterprise or if it's, if it's his own business. But I think that in order for him to have this, he has to, be very silent about this, maybe not telling much, not spilling the tea about your business. Just, don't overshare. Does he have a moon in Gemini? Because why do I feel like he tends to overshare? But I think that maybe, as time passes and as he gets older and wiser, there's something about him, learning to be much more like, not speaking up. It's more like listen to what people are saying, or listen to what, others say, but don't respond. If you have a business that you want to take care, or if you have a successful recipe that has been working for you, don't expose it. Be like the High Priestess. Don't share it with others. Just, keep it silent, and it will keep growing, and it will keep expanding, and it will be stable. But you have to be like the High Priestess. Don't spill the tea. Sorry, guys. I think that that's very, very wise. There's something about, maybe the better you're doing when it comes to success, or what success means, because success, it can mean different things. And I think that for him, it's like his family is very important. So it's not so much like, I want money for myself, For him, I think that it's about supporting his family or his people. But the High Priestess is it's about like, hush, the better you're doing, just hush. Don't share it with others, don't say it aloud, because there's probably a lot of people that want to steal from him, or wants to steal his ideas, or want to copy what he does. So just, don't spill the tea. Okay, let's see Somi. Somi, money, success, and her. I like it. Sorry, I'm having like an attack. Okay, for Somi, we have from the money part, we have the Six of Cups, and we have the Two of Swords. From the part of success, we have the Empress, and we have the Three of Cups. And then, about her energy or her relationship right now with, money and success, we have the Eight of Pentacles. So definitely, Somi is working. She's working really hard to, do better, I guess. She wants to improve. There are certain details about her career, or about her management, or about the way she deals with these two aspects that she's like, I have to be better. I have to get better. I have to be more prepared. I have to, do more, or I have to study more, or I have to get more involved in this. So um, I see a lot of work in here. I see a lot of work, a lot of preparation, a lot of like her rehearsing a lot. Is she going to have a comeback or something like this? Because she's working a lot. But yeah, I think that when it comes to money, her relationship, we have the Six of Cups and we have the Two of Swords. So I wonder if in the past, something happened about her money that I think that she's still trying to recover from a bit of indecision, about about her relationship with money. I think that when the Two of Swords, there's this feeling of like, I don't see the money, or I don't know where the money went. And I'm just, why do I feel like with the Six of Cups, it's like, well, I'm just a child. It feels like, the Six of Cups is all about nostalgia, it's about, the past. So there's something about her being like, I'm not in charge of that, or, people just wouldn't tell me exactly the truth about where money went. So I think that her relationship with money is very confusing. And it has to do with managements of the past. It has to do with her past experiences, or even with her early experiences, maybe in the industry, or her being very young, her being a child, or her being inexperienced, or her being just very influential. Like there's something about people being like, don't worry about it, we got it, because we are, the adults here. So, you don't have to worry about that. You don't think about money. You go out there and you do your part, but, you don't talk about money. You don't have to worry about money. And the Two of Swords is about her probably feeling a bit suspicious. So I think that, it still affects her, I would say. And it puts her in a very indecisive and confusing state, where she's like, yeah, I remember those words being said to me, or those guidelines being given to me. So I think that she still is like, I'm still in the darkness about my money. So I think that she's trying to figure out, maybe there's a bit of curiosity, there's something about her, maybe slowly recognizing that she's a bit lost about incomes, or that she's not aware of what is going on. And that maybe, this needs to be fixed. I don't think it will, because this has been this has been part of how she had been dealing with things. So she's confused. She has a bit of like, but where is it? And when you're a bit suspicious. But I think that there's something about her not asking either. So it's very odd. I don't think that she will improve this right now, her relationship with money. But I think that she's working hard, because she's trying to unblock this, and I think that she's like, well, there's a way where I can unblock this, is by working harder or doing more. So when it comes to success, I actually like, I love this when it comes to success, the Empress and the Three of Cups. So for me, if I sing this, if Somi would come to me and she would be like, I want to be more successful, I would say, like, use your femininity and surround yourself with other feminine figures. Don't do this alone. Go work in groups where there's other women. Collaborate. Work in groups. Don't work alone. Don't isolate yourself. Find your group, and in there you will find success. Because also, she could be that also, in a group, she could be the favorite also. But I think that there's something, I think that there's something about Somi that I would be like, for me, it would have been like, she has done great, like being solo, but I think that there's something about her destiny being like, you are supposed to be part of a group. You could have been more successful if you stayed in a group instead of going solo or being a soloist. Because I think that her talents or her her presence, it sort of, elevates when she is in a group, and she elevates the group as well. So I think that she had always been successful while being with others, and I think that she should go back to being with others. I know that she has a lot of friends in the industry, and people have told me about this, but I think that you want to be successful, go be in a group. Be in a group. If it's possible, insert yourself in a group. Collaborate with others. Come up with a new group for yourself. I don't know, but just go where the all successful ladies are going, and you insert yourself in there. You belong in there. You belong in there. Because I think that when she is on her own, there's a bit of like, she does the work, because she's so hardworking, and she's like, I have to make it. But there's also a bit of confusion. I think that she needs to be surrounded by a group. When she's on her own, it's like there's a lot of confusion. There's a lot of isolation as well. There's a lot of things that she doesn't understand or she's not capable of seeing. But when she's with others, the others somehow help her or guide her to a level of understanding of like, yeah, this is what is going on, yeah, this is what is going on, this is what is going on with us, this is what is going on with you, and she adapts, and I think that also she she rejuvenates when she's with others. There's something about them lifting each other up and being their best versions. So I would be like, go back to a group. Don't be alone. Don't be alone. I don't know if that's possible, but just do it. The cards are very specific about that. Are very specific. It's like, go find your tribe, go find your people. Don't isolate yourself, because I don't know. I mean, when it comes to success, if you want to be successful, and also cultivate your friendships. Don't forget about your friendships. Okay, let's see for Seo YeaJi. I believe this is the actress, Seo YeaJi. Let's see for her. Money, success, and her. Okay. When it comes to money, we have we have the devil and we have the 5 of cups for Seo YeaJi. About success, we have the Queen of Pentacles and the 6 of Swords. And then how is her relationship? How is she presenting herself, when it comes to, these matters? We have the 2 of Cups. Yeah, I would say that the issue here, because I have the devil and I have the 2 of Cups. So I think that there's something about her investing a lot in relationships or losing herself in relationships. And I think that this is, somehow I don't know if there's codependency or there's an emotional dependency. I think that she could do better with money and success if she was single. Not single, because, it's not about, romantic relationships. I think that it's about her, minding her own, her centering on herself, even if this means to be a bit selfish. and people actually, seeing her, because she does have a very strong, strong aura. So she will always be associated with, oh, she's like this rich, fancy woman that she feels like she's the best, and yeah, she kind of gives off this rich lady, because she is, she's very resourceful like this. She's very fancy. There's something about her looking luxurious, even when she doesn't have a penny. So, but, because the Two of Cups representing her energy, when it comes to money and success, I think that it could be, a positive card, but then I see the devil here, and the devil also, we have two people. Well, we have three with the devil, but there's also a couple in here. So it could be the dark side of this as well. So it's about, when you are too attached to someone else. And definitely with the devil and the Five of Cups, it lets me know that she had lost a lot of money. Actually, I wonder if she's still paying a debt that is not hers. The debt is not hers. The debt is probably has to do with an old association of hers, like an ex-partner, an ex-boyfriend. Maybe it could be someone from her past, or maybe, friends she used to be friends with and now she's not, and because they were associated with her, they got her in trouble financially, I would say. And she still hasn't recovered from this. She has lost a lot of opportunities to make money because of these people. And it's about associations. It's about, okay, who are you with? Who are your friends? Or who is your family, for example? So it's very sad. It's very unfortunate. But I think that she still is attached to a very strong debt financially, because I see the devil in here and I'm like, there's a contract. There's something that she hasn't been able to cut off or let go of yet. And I think that this is drying her money. Like, if she has the possibility to do a bit, it will absorb it to pay the debt, probably. This could also be about attachment, because we have the Five of Cups. So again, there's an emotional component in here. There has to be a history between her and the person she lent money to, or, the circumstances where this sort of contract was made. She got the worst part, I would say. And it's because of association. It's not that she lost money because she didn't know how to manage the money. She lost it because she did something for someone else. So, yeah, I think that, she feels very sorry for this dependency. She feels it's very toxic. It's very toxic. I think that also money can give you this strong sense of like, well, if I have money, I can make my person happy, or they can be happier. So if they're happier, they're going to be nicer to me. So if they need money, I will lend them money, and they will pay me back, but they don't, or they won't. So there's a lot of toxicity. There's a mix of manipulation in the middle. And this has made her, feel very sorry for her past decisions when it comes to money. And she's still paying that. She's still paying this. She's still attached to a debt, an old debt that is not hers, it's someone else's, but she's attached to this because she was somehow related to this. So yeah, it's very, it's very, like, it's not strange, it makes sense, because I think that there's something about when people look at her, they're like, oh, she must be rich, or she must be doing well, so I want to be her friend, or I want to be her boyfriend, or I want to be her acquaintance. People really assuming that she has a lot of money or that she's doing well, and her being very trusting in that sense. I mean, like, yeah, because I love you and you are an important part of my life, I will give you the money. Like, don't worry about it. And then I see that she signed a contract, or she did something that it sort of got her attached to a very bad decision, and she's still paying the consequences of this. So her relationship with money is a bit sad. It's a bit tragic, I would say. This is why I would be like, please don't, be a bit more, independent. Don't lose yourself in relationships because they're going to ruin you financially and emotionally. So yeah, please care for yourself. And about success, thank God we have the Queen, we have the Queen of Pentacles, and we have the Six of Swords. So this is great. I think that she will. Thank God, she will be successful. The success will always be available for her. She will be able to advance, and be successful once again, or as many times as she needs to get up, and she needs to be like, okay, I have to, work better, or I have to get a better role, or I have to get a better possibility, or I have to get my life together, financially. I think that, doors will open for her, and she will prove to be a very valuable asset. She's someone that when it comes to money, she can make it. She can make it. She can make, she can be part of a series or, a drama in the future, and she will make the money. She will make the millions. She will make it. She will be able to advance, and get out of this attachment. But I think that she has to be wiser when it comes to money, and please do not lend the money to whoever appears, even if they tell you like, oh my God, I'm so lost, I need it. Don't let them manipulate you. Because, she's also human, even though she does look, like I said, she does have the appearance or the body language of a rich lady, successful lady, abundant lady, but at the same time, I think that they had damaged that image so many times, or they had tried, that, it's really hard to advance. Thank God she will always find a way to, move on. But I think that, emotionally, she is, the dangers in here, or what she has to be careful of is, intimate connections. It's like, don't lose yourself in relationships. Don't lose your money in relationships, please. Please. Okay. I want to continue with Yeh Shuhua. Yeh Shuhua. Let's see, money for her, success, and how is she doing? Let's see, money. Success, and her. Money and success are very challenging for this girl, for Yeh Shuhua. Very challenging for her. Things are not easy for her. I mean, how is she, her relationship, money and success? We have, from the money part, we have the Ten of Swords and we have the High Priestess. From the success part, we have the Ten of Wands and we have the Justice. And then, her relationship, the energy that she exudes, about these matters, we have the Ace of Swords. I mean, she's very brave. I think that she's very honest also with herself. There's something about, what I said about things are not easy for her. She's always like struggling and fighting something, maybe fighting anxiety, uncertainty about money or about results, about being successful, what it means to be successful. And for her, it's not easy. It's just that there's a level of honesty in her, of a very sharp mind. She's not confused about these matters. She's not someone that she's like, um, you know, um, denying the reality. The reality is that she probably is very ambitious. She wants, to do well when it comes to money and success, but sometimes the conditions are not the best. And I think that whatever results she can, make in the near future is not, is all because she's trying really hard to overcome things. But she's very honest. She's very honest. She's very transparent about her struggles, or about that, when things are not doing that well, she's also very honest. And if you have any questions about, how she handles this, she will tell you. I don't know if she communicates with fans, if she talks to the fans, or if she expresses this, but I can see her, just like maybe even making content about, talking about these experiences, because she has a very sharp mind. She's very intelligent. So I wonder if she could eventually become like a sort of advisor for people that are struggling. And she's like, this is how I do it. I'm not an expert, but this is how I do it. The Ten of Swords and the High Priestess, about money. I think that maybe lately, she had learned that, she probably doesn't talk about money, or she doesn't let people know that she actually is struggling financially. There's something with the High Priestess that she's like, I prefer to not, not, say negative things. I prefer to not, name it. There's something about like, I don't want to name it. I don't want to name like, oh my God, like I'm not getting paid, or, I'm suffering because, I have debt. She's like, I don't want to name it. I don't want to call it. I don't want to put like an energetic, importance in this, because she definitely feels very defeated when it comes to, outcomes, or when it comes to incomes, not outcomes. I think that she has been struggling a lot. And it has been tough, it has been tough. But I think that the High Priestess is also someone that, there's something about her not complaining about this, and being very silent about this, because she's like, I had chosen this. I had chosen this path. So, I this is why I don't say anything, because I think that I had chosen this adventure. There's something about her being like, I put myself in this situation where I'm struggling, and where, there's moments where I don't have enough. And there's moments where I'm not that abundant as I wish that I could be. But I think that she's been very, wise about this. She's learning a lot about life, about karma, about consequences. She's like teaching herself, and it feels very rough. It feels like a very rough situation. I don't know why. Maybe there's something about her, it's like, if she could be like, yeah, guys, I need money, I think that someone could save her and get her in a better place. But she's like, no, if I'm suffering, or if I'm not doing very well, my relationship with my money is not that well, I will endure it. It will end at some point. The agony and the bad days will end at some point, and a new day will come up, and I will have a better opportunity. But she's been very, conscious about this. She's been very smart about this. About success, yeah, 10 of Wands and Justice. About success is also like, she's very stubborn also. There's something about her not giving up and being like, I will continue. Until I make it, I will continue. I will continue. I will show up. I will do my part. It's not easy for her. I think that she does have a lot of odds, or there's a lot of, obstacles that she has to go through, or she has to endure a lot, being under a lot of pressure. Getting success is not that comfortable for her. It's like she's not comfortable doing this job, or whatever role she has is like not that comfortable life. Um, and why do I say it's not the easiest way to maybe get successful? But with the justice, she believes like in a higher power. She believes like she has this mentality. Like at some point, if I put my work into this, I will get what I deserve. I will get justice for myself. So I will keep pushing it. I will keep continue working, and it will be exhausting, and it will be like a very challenging process. I think that her relationship with success is that she always has to try extra hard, and she always has to push it. And it seems like she's pushing it against, a lot of odds and things that it seems like everything happens to her only. It's a very exhausting and debilitating experience, even physically, I must say. But she's very stubborn, and she's very resilient. So she's like, I will make it. I will make it. And we have the justice that is like, well, at some point, the balance will be on her favor. But I think that it's like, about success, I don't think that she will get like, a recognition, it's like, so successful. I think that it's about, she just wants, fairness. She's like, at least I want to be acknowledged for the part that I did. It's not about her getting like, getting, this like, I'm so rich right now. I'm so. For her, it's not about money either. For her, it's about like, I wonder why she puts herself in these situations. She somehow wants to experience these harsh times. I think that she wants to experience this so she can become stronger, like spiritually stronger. She's like, if it's not difficult, I don't want it. If it's not challenging, I don't think that is worth it. So I think that her relationship with money and success, it somehow has to be this stuff, because she's like, I'm trying to learn. I'm trying to be better. I'm trying to be a better human, a better person. So I will, I will survive, like the song. But she has an agenda. She's like, this is my part. She probably works very well under pressure. She's like, I will endure this. No one will beat me. Very interesting. I would be tired already. I would be like, can we please move on? Can we please go somewhere else to rest? But well. Okay, I'm going to continue with the rest, with the last one, not the rest, the last one, that is Boy Next Door, Taesan. Let's see. Money, success, and him. Let's see. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's very young, isn't he? Boy Next Door, Taesan. He's very young. I think that he's curious about money and success, but he is still, it's, his energy is very dual. He's trying to get himself organized with these matters, but I don't think that he's still that interested. I think that he probably values other experiences, and maybe he's not in charge of his money and success. I think that there's other people. He's the one that's putting the work. He's putting the body to work, but he's not that like into finances. He's not like reviewing, like, no. He has other people that does this for him. About money, his relationship with money, we have the Page of Swords and we have the Ace of Pentacles. And about success, we have the Two of Cups and we have the King of Pentacles. Is he being called a king? Does he have like a nickname that he's the king of something? And I think that this has been given by the fans or by the group, because they are like, yeah, he's the king of something. I don't know, but it feels very earthy, very earth-like. Yeah, about money, I mean, he's curious. He's curious about, like I said, he's not that invested, but it doesn't mean that he's ignorant to money. He's not. He's slowly approaching, he's curious. He's like, okay, how this how this is the amount, or this is what I'm, and I think that he's loving the results. There's something about, when he's curious and he's asking, maybe about, what he had earned or what the group has earned, he's like, I'm doing well. I'm proud of myself. He's proud of himself. And also I think that he sees the money. He sees not the money particularly, he sees numbers and he sees evolution. He sees possibilities to even make more money. So he's like very, he's like, yeah, my numbers are great. My numbers are not in red. They're doing good. And probably is he investing in something because he's like, I feel like I could do more. And I think that he's like, he's doing well with his money. I think that if he's investing on something, it's doing very well as well. So or whoever is managing it, they are making sure that, that his money is very well, is very well used. So I can see him just being, and also nobody's lying to him. This is why I'm like, if there's like someone like, that is like a representation for him about the money and the finances, I think that the money is looking good for him. It's been very well used or invested. Maybe it's been invested in something else and it's actually doing very well. So yeah, actually he's very young, but he's doing very well. He's doing very well with money. I see it. Well, I see internet, or maybe it has to do with investments when this is like very digital. But yeah, about success, Two of Cups and Ace of Pentacles. Yeah, definitely. Just like I said, for Somi, she got the Three of Cups and she also got the Empress, so for me also the Two of Cups and the King of Pentacles, it seems like success for him, it's always about connections, it's always about collaboration with others. I think that he will always be remembered or appreciated as this very stable force in a group or a stable force in a collaboration, in a duo, in a, I think that in order for him to be successful, he always has to be part of something with other people. He cannot just be like, because sometimes when you have the King of Pentacles, in the case of Somi, she got the Empress, and when you have these individuals in groups, that they're very popular and probably they're doing very well, or they are magnets for attention, and people tend to think like, oh, you should go solo. Maybe people see the potential and they're like, this member could go solo. And for me, that's a very risky move. For me, at least from what I see here, for me, his success is with the group. His success is with collaboration. He shines when he is in a group or when he is associated with others, not when he's on his own. When he's on his own, probably he will get the attention, but it's not going to do as well as if he continues to be part of a group. So I will always be like, try to get yourself in connection with others. Like don't go solo. It's like, I know it's tempting, and I know that probably this is how, especially because he's represented as this King of Pentacles, so he must be very popular or he must be very successful, like a very strong individual presence in the group that you're like, oh, I would watch him forever for a lot of hours because he's amazing. Like, look, he's my bias, or he's the one that I want, or he's my, he's a special, among the members, they're all great, but he's the one that he catches my eye, or he has a lot of talents, or this and that. But I think that, he always has to stay in the group, because these connections is the others that. Thank you. Thank you, Laura. How much did I go silent? How many minutes did I go silent? Where did I left? Oh my. Thank you for letting me know. I never, because you have the green light in here. You have the green, but I get confused when I'm watching myself that I don't see this part. It will have to have like a noise or something. Thank you. Yeah, that he should belong in a group because, for me is like, he's able to exude this magnificence, this him being this, this king of pentacles. That it's this person with a lot of talents, is this person that is very popular, that he has a special place or a spot in the group, that it's actually thanks to this, is because, the Two of Cups is because the group or the collaboration or the others enable him to be in this position and to be able to show, his traits, his smoothness, or his personality, or his talents and his richness, because he's a very rich person inside with a lot of talents. But I think that, being in a group or being with others is what allows this potential of his to come out. Probably, if he is like, well, because I shine so much, and I will go solo. And yeah, he will still be recognized, but I don't think that he will do that well as what he does for the group. I think that he has more value when he's with others. There's something about like, don't forget about connections. It's the others that make you who you are, and that give you the possibility to be more successful in the future. So I don't know, maybe, there could be a bit of a potential, that because, if he is popular, or if he is, this, because he does stand out. He also has this, maybe he has a presence that people also look at him and they are like, yeah, he looks so luxurious, or he looks so fancy. So maybe the company will try to exploit this and be like, oh, you should go for more individual activities, or you should go you should go solo, or you should do this on your own because you shine so much and we want to make money out of this. But if I was, him, I would be like, no, I would prefer, because I don't know, could it be that he gets a bit shy when he's on his own, or there's something about his light, it sort of dissipates a bit when he's by himself. And I think that when he's with others, he shines more, or his presence is more felt. I think that this is not a member that he's like, oh, because I'm so talkative or I'm so loud. It's more about his presence. He's someone that when he's in there with the group, he probably doesn't have to say anything. And you look at him and he's like, wow, he's so beautiful. Or he's like a prince. He has this presence, this very prestigious, luxurious kind of presence that it sort of exudes when he's with others. You can feel it when he's with others, but when he's on his own, I don't know if you can feel it. So I would be like, please don't go alone. Just go with, continue with your group, or collaborate. But yeah. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Laura. Thank you, Regulaura, for the help. Oh my God, I didn't realize, like, I don't know why. Actually, I think that this is supposed, I remember, and it's very well charged, but it's supposed to last like 2 hours and 50 minutes. And it's not 2 hours and 50 yet. So I don't know why it turned off. It ran out of battery. But yeah. Yeah, this was the last one, boynextdoor Taesan. So yeah, this was great. I didn't have that many people, but yeah, I did read for the Blackpink girls as well. So yeah, I don't know what theme I'm going to do for Wednesday, if I do a live stream on Wednesday. I'm so cold. My hands are so cold. But I don't know. I will see what I come up with. I will try to think about it today. So yes, guys, thank you so much for watching. And yeah, if I come up with with an idea or a series, I will create a community post so you guys can leave me your recommendations. Thank you so much for watching. And yes, I will see you on Wednesday if everything goes well and there's no crazy weather in here. Yeah, enjoy your weekend. Thank you. Bye.